Look, I've been told I moan a lot, which I suppose I do. Well, this time around, believe it or not, I'm going to moan again. And it's about two-stroke motorbikes. Not anything negative, but the lack of them. I mean, why were they banned for emissions? I mean, really? Ships? Lorries? Buses? Let's go back to ships. 500,000 ton tanker going across the ocean. How much pollution is that? But fortunately, we can still ride classics, two strokes. And I have got an absolute beauty to show you as I climb down the mountain. And it's not necessarily a big 750. Oh no! How about that? A absolutely beautiful, pristine, completely original RD125, where all the kids wet themselves when they saw one.
Originally born in 1974 with the curved petrol tank, and then it was facelifted in 76 onto this 78 model with the famous coffin tank. That shape of tank percolated into all their models, from the 125, 200, 250, and of course the most desirable of all the Yamaha air-cooled twin classics, the RD400.
Now, one thing they all had in common is an air-cooled parallel twin with 180-degree crankshaft, giving that beautiful RD sound. This little beauty is 124cc and it smokes out a claimed, wait for it, 16 horsepower, 8,500 RPM and 13 Newton meters.
Now, 16 horsepower isn't much, and neither is 115 kilograms. But nothing much happens below 8,000 RPM. And then, not all hell's lets loose, 16 horsepower's let loose. And it comes in with quite a crisp bang. Here we go. Now, Yamaha claim 130 kilometres an hour. I have actually seen 125. But let's not forget, we are at altitude, so it does sap a little bit of power.
Still, it's entertaining enough to put a smile on your face, and let's not forget this engine is based on Yamaha's TZ125 race bike engine.
As is the race-derived chassis. Apparently, this chassis is actually built by the designers who built and designed the 125 twin race bikes going around a racetrack. That's quite impressive, to say the least. You can see the tubular construction running throughout. And another race-derived part is the rather fancy twin leading shoe drum brake. That's very nice. And of course, the 180-degree crankshaft, throwing out the delightful niff of two-stroke.
You only really get a true niff of the two-stroke fumes at the traffic lights, bringing back sweet little memories of what these little two-strokes are all about. Oh, especially that. What more can you ask for? Power band? No, don't pull out on me. Here we go. Yes! You're ready!
Not as sweet as the condition of this bike. It is 100% original, zero restoration, with only 5,000 kilometres on the clock. And it was only last registered in 1985. It's a pure barn find and belongs to our good friend Noddy from Bikeworks, who does all our dyno testing, who insists, and insists many times, it is not for sale.
Look, I can't blame him. Would you sell that? I mean, look at the condition of it. I'll just show you one more thing. If you lift this seat, they have the original handbook and original toolkit in perfect condition. So, don't lose hope. Get out there, look around various barns throughout South Africa. They must be hundreds of these things. And I'll tell you right now, I'm on a quest to find something like this.
What a lovely thing, and so very rare to find something like that these days in such original condition. That's one of the amazing things though about the climate up on the Highveld. It's just so dry and so very far from the salty influence of the sea that you're, I suppose, much more likely to stumble across a 40-year-old bike that looks as good as the day it first rolled off the showroom floor. And it really is worth keeping an eye out, or your ear close to the ground, as they say, because the market for classic Japanese bikes is buoyant, and all indications are that it will soon start to boom. There's a couple of reasons for this. People the age of Bill, and even the much, much younger bikers like me, who are past the flush of youth and have a few pennies in the bank, are now at that stage of their lives where they'd like to own one of the bikes that form part of their early riding history, and so demand is growing. The market for classic cars has provided massive returns for investors over the past couple of decades, but now it's pretty much saturated. Prices are high, supply is low, and so these guys are now looking for the next big thing. As they realise how relatively affordable classic Japanese bikes are, they're beginning to buy, and that in turn is having an effect on prices. The prospect of a boom in the classic bike market is real enough for the Financial Times of London, no less, to publish a story on the phenomenon. They say there's a potential for huge rewards, so now is the time to see whether that grumpy old uncle of yours who lives on a plot just south of Nowheresville has got something special hiding away in his shed. A Yamaha RD125, for example, recently fetched £250,000. A mint FS1E moped, the legendary Fizzy, sold for over £200,000. An original Kawasaki Z1 can fetch $500,000, and Honda's CBX 1000 has been known to easily top the £300,000 mark. Don't worry, you have not missed the boat. Although some of these bikes already seem very expensive, make no mistake, they will continue to increase in value for many years to come. Spend $500,000 now, and the chances are that by the end of the decade, the worth of that bike may have doubled, offering way more return on your investment than you'd find in any fuddy-duddy old bank. Just don't crash it when you show it off to your mates after a couple of Brandywine and Cokes. That's not something you can do with your savings account.